Hi everyone, it's been a long time since I've done an update. That's mainly because if you've seen any of my previous updates, it's just been a really busy time in my life. It's a time of transition. I also ended my first semester at a doctoral program and I'm starting the spring semester here on the 19th. Very, very exciting. For those of you outside the United States, I believe it's called postdoctoral work. So a lot of reading, a lot of writing. I have, however, been enjoying a lot of media in my spare time. I've been doing a lot of catching up on anime. So I've been following Yashahime, which has been kind of like slow and disappointing in a lot of ways so far. I won't give out any spoilers because in case you haven't seen it, it's the continuation, or I guess, I mean, it's not written by Rumiko Takahashi. So I don't know quite what you'd call it, but let's just say it's a continuation of that story where Inuyasha left off, just quite a few years later. And it's been okay, but again, it's been kind of like you want more, and they're not giving you a lot of what you want as the fan yet. There's a lot of information that's being withheld from the fans about what's happened to some of the characters that were in the original story. Um, and yeah, again, there was an episode that was released recently, which I don't want to spoil things, but yeah, that part made me happy, which happened recently. But everything else I've been kind of like, but I do agree. And originally in Inuyasha, when you watched it, it did feel like Monster of the Week with like the undercurrent of a heavier plot line, and I think that's starting to happen here. Um, but the tone is definitely a lot lighter so far than Inuyasha was initially as a story. So yeah, I've been watching Yashahime. I know that Uma Musume Pretty Derby season 2 came out. Yes, I'm one of those people that watches that. If you don't know what it is, yeah, racehorses as Bishojo and racehorse history, and mixed with like idol stuff. I am not an idol person, but I really found that anime to be endearingly cute as far as like a sports anime, technically still. um, I do not glorify horse racing, but I did find it interesting, especially since a lot of the characters have histories similar to the historical horses they represent in the horse racing community, at least in the Western world. And so I've been watching that. Cute. Uh, I was watching Dragon Quest, as you all know, on my channel before I had to remove all those thanks to Toei Animation being all like, "You used our sound, we hate you now." And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just hit trash on all these wonderful videos I made. Feels like trash. I am trash. But not really. So I'm really excited about the Sailor Moon movie. That is the two-parter that's coming out, the Sailor Moon Eternal stuff. Obviously, that hasn't been released yet. I'm trying to think. There's so many other anime that are out there. Oh, of course, Promised Neverland season 2 just started. Attack on Titan last season just started. So there's a lot of continuations. Don't worry, I just recently cleaned my hands. That are going on. That as a weeb, I am very excited about. Dragon Quest was fun, but because I got so salty, I actually haven't kept up with it. So I'm probably gonna binge watch that before the start of the semester. If I don't, I will definitely make it an anime that is more chill to watch. This is not like Promised Neverland or Neverland or Attack on Titan. It's not going to be like that. That I can watch in between assignments for school, so it kind of just gives my mind a break. Um, yeah. And on the live action side of things, I haven't really watched a lot. I'm one of those people that likes cooking and baking shows, so I watched like all the Food Network uh, Bake Off and cooking kind of stuff, but mainly the Bake Off stuff. So like the Holiday Baking Championship, I'm super big on that. I did finally tune into RuPaul's latest season, season 13, because of Gottmik, and actually being open about that, and Rue actually maybe sort of figuring out that drag is more complex than the old school folks would like to remember it as or keep it as. And so I've kind of forgiven Rue a little bit about some prior positions that kept me from watching RuPaul's Drag Race for a while. Yeah, so that's exciting. I know it was a very, very widely watched first episode of that season. So that's like my reality show stuff. I only really watch. I don't even call. I don't know. I don't know. I feel weird calling RuPaul's Drag Race reality TV, but I guess it is. I don't know. As far as anything else, I've just been watching a lot of old movies for Christmas and stuff. So like pop culture wise, it's been like classic movie time through Turner Classic Movies, and they had a wonderful holiday and Christmas collection that they were showcasing. I really recommend. Uh, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name. I'm like, is it happened on Fifth Avenue? And like, there's one other one that has to do with an apartment that was really good and dealt with a lot of complex issues that was made, I think, in the early 60s. It wasn't that one that I just named. It was another one that had to do with an apartment. It had to do with people using this working man's flat as a place to meet women. So it was actually, it sounds super cringe, and there are parts of it that are like, I'm like, oh God, but you know, I try to remember it within the context of when it was made. Doesn't mean that stuff is okay, but it means that like it's an interesting you'll understand if you watch it. So I'm going to remember by like typing it in after and putting it in the bottom, because it was fascinating. It was a really fascinating watch for an old movie. And it had to do a lot with women's sense of agency and people being more some people who were more chill about some things and people who weren't, and kind of the double standard of stuff back then, and unfortunately is still applicable in a lot of places now. So as I drip water, because this has this lip that I just can't seem to hold water. Parching the salt that is my American self after last week. That's all I'm going to say about that. I was pretty pissed. Still am. Yeah, I hope that wherever you are, you're okay. I know they're starting to roll out the vaccines here in Las Vegas. It's been slow going, suspiciously so, considering how much of our economy relies on tourism. And I've been like, are you just trying to kill everyone here? Or yeah. I have my own thoughts about how slow the vaccine is being rolled out here in Nevada, but I'll keep them to myself. But I know that the Strip did have an attempt at raising some money for the food bank and all that for our New Year's Eve show. There were two of them. One of them was the DJ one I'd advertised in the prior post, and the other one was like an actual televised New Year's Eve show that was on the top of Circa. That I don't know if they went to that one at all, because I didn't watch the DJ one that was streaming online, which was like a dance party. This one was just like improv, good old fashioned Vegas, like ridiculous show hosting stuff, and it was really, really fun. And it was just a great time, and they shot off fireworks from the only place that was doing it here in town, at least had a permit to do that, which was the Plaza down in Fremont Street. And Circa's right next to it. Circa's this brand new property, really neat stuff, very homage to old Vegas, not allowing anybody under a certain age into the property, which is nice, because I don't know about you, but I get kind of tired. Like when I've gone to take friends over to the Strip in prior years, obviously not 2020, and like you go there and people have like a triple stroller or some shit, and you're just like, dude, like it's one thing if I look at you and I'm like, okay, they probably spent all their money just trying to get here. They probably didn't have money or fam or friends that could watch their kids. That's one thing. That's a class issue. If I find somebody like that, and I know because I had members of my family as a kid who were, that I look at their outfit and I look and I see how much money they got on, and I'm like, no, you could have afforded somebody to care for your kids. Why the fuck are they here? So, like, I'm just like, the fuck? So... because I don't view Vegas as a family place. There are some things you can do around here that are more family friendly, but overall it's totally freaking extra when you see people rolling around strollers and crap when you're like in the Venetian and you're just like, man, this, like, people didn't pay this much money to dine at a fucking restaurant to listen to your kid whine or cry and shit. So, and it's not to be hating on all the kids, because I worked at Build-A-Bear Workshop and stuff. I actually like working around kids. It's fine. Then I had to go back to school again. So I had to quit that job. And also my health deteriorated really bad, so I couldn't work and go to school. Another story entirely. So yeah, it's, again, not a kid hater, just like, why the hell are they here? And why are you clogging up the walkway with your strollers in a place that's really not meant for kids? Again, I will only be really judging you if it looks like maybe you had the money to hire somebody. Otherwise, I'm like, making the best of being working class or middle class. I get it. I hear you. It's okay. Like, it's okay. But yeah, so New Year's Eve here in Vegas, people tried to have a good time, and the Raiders, I'm not going to talk about. As you can see, I may or may not have on some gear of my own from a particular sports league, which I'll remain unnamed. And I'm very excited, actually, not for football, like American football, but I'm excited for Major League Rugby, which is returning here in the States. And they just released their schedule on MLR. So it's Major League Rugby. Yes, I know. The United States has a rugby league nationally now. Yes. And so I highly advise you to go check it out and support some of the teams if any of them tickle your fancy, because I'm really excited. I happen to really like the Seattle Seawolves and NOLA, which is New Orleans, NOLA Gold. And they added several more teams, including one from Toronto recently. So just go, they actually added several teams. And then 2020 happened. So go and check it out. They just released new Merc too, in addition to the schedule. So it's a work in progress here in the States, getting rugby to be more of a thing. So support them if you're able. That would be great. I'd really appreciate that, because I've watched replays of games because I can't stay up that late internationally when we used to be able to get rugby games. And then sometimes late at night they'd be on and I'd be like super tired and being like, like trying to watch it. So, so yeah, that's kind of like the pop culture media, what I watch, what I do during break update. Anything else I have to say is just roughly the same stuff as normal, because of the whole economic situation that this country is in and the state of Nevada is in. Getting a service dog through Nevada Vocational Rehab has been very grinding to a halt, almost, not almost, it has. And that kind of thing. So that's been really disappointing. Yeah, my condition, spine and nerve wise, has been, and it's not getting any better, let me put it that way. And I'm just doing my best to remain optimistic, to just go ahead and do my work, be a secondary caregiver for my fam here, and try and continue to stay as safe as we can, and wait for the vaccine to be ready for everyone to take. And actually, the last month, or a little bit over a month or so, things have gotten really rough for one of my family members, and that has made life more complex here at home. It's a health condition. I've said prior, it's Alzheimer's. So it's a thing. It was really weird to receive actual handwritten mail from one of my senators, actually, because I wrote to both of our senators here in Nevada, and I got back a written note from a Senator Rosen, and it's actually behind me, like laying on my bookcase. I should have gotten it, but it was so weird, and I was like, whoa, okay, Alzheimer's touches way more people than I thought it did. So yeah, I wrote because I was strongly suggesting, more like demanding, more funds for people who are having to find ways to care for people with Alzheimer's or dementias of any kind, and making sure that's subsidized in addition to subsidizing research, because it's like they keep subsidizing research, and I'm like, that's cool, thank you, because I could have it someday, but also, what about all the people who are out there that have this basically another full-time job that don't really get paid for it, that are caregivers, and it puts everything else on hold? And in our family, it's been better because there's both my father and I here, and we're able to do things, and I'm here as a full-time doctoral student, distance learning, so it hasn't been as stressful as it could have been on our household. But I can tell you right now, that would be very difficult to do if you were by yourself. I don't care how healthy you are. I didn't. So yeah, just that's a very important thing to me, considering that my country doesn't really give a shit about disabled people or about people with who are elderly, which is really terrible. And I'm really hoping that changes. But right now, I'm just kind of hoping my country holds it together. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta have one before you have the other. Am I right? I'm right. Okay. So I love all of you. I'm sorry that I've been so scarce. I've honestly been a bit mentally traumatized about what's been happening with my family member, because yeah, and then what happened this last week, I was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video, and then that happened, and I was like, I need time to process this. So yeah, I've also been in contact with my university's department for study abroad in case, hell freezes over, I get the vaccine, and I'm actually able to do a study abroad, which I never physically was given the chance because my health, in undergrad or graduate master's work, not doctoral work, to do that in the past. And they have some pretty interesting programs, and mainly in Europe. So it's not surprising given their affiliation. But yeah, I would love to do that. I'm always looking for ways to try and like mm, expand horizons and like learn from other people because I believe life is not really worth living if you're not like learning. I really, I really feel that way. It doesn't mean you have to enjoy the lesson, by the way. It just means that you're learning. Um, yeah. So, and I'm also continuing with some woo-woo um, complementary and alternative medicine stuff that's fun as classes and things. And I'm trying to get back into listening more to Spanish TV and stuff and language learning because I kind of fell out of it for the last few months because things got so here at home. It was hard to focus. And in case you're wondering, I had bought like Rosetta Stone Unlimited, and I was in the middle of learning Italian and then like getting better at Spanish. So in this case, it would have been Spain Spanish. So like Spanish, not like Spanish as I grew up hearing it around me here in the States, which is also very complicated, nuanced, and has different dialects and stuff. And then I was learning Swedish because I have family in Sweden, and if I ever am able to go and visit, I want to actually be able to like be polite in Swedish and hopefully not horribly massacre the pronunciation of things because that would be terrible and I would feel awful. So, and also I've thought of I actually really wish that I had been able to go to Uppsala. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. University over there or some other place over there. I actually really wanted to do postdoctoral work in Europe, and it just didn't come together. So, yeah, we'll see what the future brings, huh, for all of us. So, that being said, thanks for listening to this update. It was a long one. I promise next time it won't be as long. I know I say that, but I mean it this time. And just it's been what, like, if you don't count my Dragon Quest stuff, it's been a while. And like the only other time I talked to y'all was during New Year's Eve, like before that stuff happened. Yeah, the New Year's Eve topic video. So yeah, I had a lot to say. So thanks for listening. I hope you're able to get the vaccine soon, and I hope if you have any fears about it, that those don't come true for you, and those are put to rest for you, and that you're all right. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I love you all. Take care now, as you're able.